A son is your heart until he takes a wife, but a daughter is a mother's delight for life. So we're going to talk in this video about Harry's vision and opinion of his mother, both inside and outside, and how that has evolved over some time. Be right back. Welcome to Fortune Cookies Tarot. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner for over 35 years. In this video, we're going to be talking about a viewer request. This was one that was requested in the comments. They wanted to know what Harry really felt about his late mother, Princess Diana, Princess of Wales. So I think we should get a good baseline on this, and we'll do what he thought of his mother before she passed away, after she passed away, and now as an adult, because there is some length of time between her passing away and the current time. We're going to see if there's anyone that interfered with that opinion of her. So before we do that, before we bring up the card view, please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning into this video. It's my favorite part of the day. I hope it's one of your favorite parts of the day. Let's get that card view up and we'll get going on this. So what did Harry truly think of his mother prior to her passing away? We're going to be using the Mystical Medleys deck. I've been using it all week. He was a little bit of a spoiled brat. And I do think there was a little bit of manipulation there. I think he would play his parents against each other to get what he wanted. A lot of kids of divorce do that. Harry was essentially, his parents were split up when he was a toddler. So he really had lived in an experience of separation. But when you have that, you have different rules and different regulations for either side, different expectations. So it's my understanding that Diana did not care for animals in the house. She wasn't like a super animal lover, but King Charles, or at the time Prince Charles, was. So they had rabbits, they had all kinds of pets and dogs and things like that. So very, very different households and very different expectations. So I do think that this is not a condemnation of how he behaved, but I think a lot of kids, when they are in a divorce situation, they do act differently on either end. I know my son had different rules, different regulations. If he was on restriction, his father wouldn't continue the restriction, even if he was over at his house for a day or an afternoon, because he said, well, you punished him. He's not punished over here. So there can be this level of inconsistency. And I think in that inconsistency, kids will learn to manipulate and they will learn to spark up. Once upon a time, I did have a friend whose parents divorced when I think he was in second grade, and he was approaching 40, and his family still made excuses for him never having a job because the divorce was very difficult on him. You're 40 years old, divorce happened when you were 7, time to get a job. So I think that he found ease in utilizing this kind of back and forth between them. I also think that he saw her as the catalyst for many things, because she would make surprises happen. She would make magical things happen. And there was a certain amount of manic behavior that would go on. There'd be exciting. They would go to amusement parks. They would be, running around, all kinds of surprises and things like that. And I think it was difficult for him to leave. And I think that the fun aspect of it, he didn't see her actually working quite so much. He saw her emotional, whether it was very, very happy and enjoying a good time with them, or very sad in her quiet moment. So over here, I think he did tend to be more generous with her because she was the more fun one. I think she gave him, or he gave her a lot less trouble than maybe he gave his father. Under here, there was always this low level anxiety kind of hanging about. And I do think that that was due to some of his manic behavior. You know, we can see him kind of manic in the videos that we see him. He, you know, is partying or, you know, sparking up and grabbing at people and doing all sorts of things. We've seen it at Invictus. Hello, New York City, and that stupid video that he did when they were talking about COVID and the vaccinations. So I think we do see him. He wants to be center stage. He wants to be bright and in the middle of everything. And I think his mother gave him that platform. And I think that it seemed to be a good place to be manic and like that kind of rock star. So I think he did see her as a rock star that people were interested and focused on her and excited to see her. And I think that kind of fanfare was very attractive to him. So, how did he see his mom after she passed? What did that rock star mom, that exciting, beautiful woman that people were clamoring to get to, what did she turn into in his head? So the world, King of Wands, Two of Wands, the Hierophant, she became the rebel. After she passed, with all of the kerfuffle around whether they were going to lower the flag, have a royal funeral, have some kind of statement. We all remember that it took Queen Elizabeth I think it was a number of days before a statement was made. They were just trying to figure out the complications of providing a service for someone who had a prominent position in the royal family, but no longer did. So what he saw was that it really was in that moment that he saw how she was the rebel of the family. This is a defining moment for him. She is done. There is no one else like her. Now he has directors pushing him. They're going in different directions. They want him to do things that his mother would never necessarily do. And he wanted to rebel against the crown. We get the Hierophant here. That is seats of power. So the royal family, the Kremlin, White House, what have you. If we're in a family, it would be a patriarch. In this case, it was likely Queen Elizabeth. I think that he did have some issue with the late Queen Elizabeth. I don't think that he was very content with the things and the decisions that she made. And I think this was an idea that was formulated in the days after the funeral, in the days after her death, and even in the short years after her death. Over here, he found the entire system very tedious because now he clearly sees her as someone who is a catalyst, who is going to launch him into commonality. So she turned into the rebel after the funeral and after she had passed away. And for some time, that idea has been growing and growing for him. So how does he see her now? She was fun mom, rock star prior to dying. She was the rebel that had self-destructed. I'm going to say that. A Perry funeral. So how does he see her now? How has she concreted in his head now? I do think that he initially blamed the protocol of the royal family for the manner in which she was treated and the indecision around her funeral. I think turning on the media and blaming the media for the way she was treated was something that he had to do, because I do think the royal family advised him that he was incorrect. I think there were certain individuals who advised him that he was incorrect, that Diana, Princess of Wales, had played her own part in the complications of the divorce and her exit from the royal family. So I do think that he then saw her as persecuted, hunted. I believe he has used the word hunted even. So this has only grown despite testimony from individuals like Paul Burrow and Lady Colin Campbell, saying that she had played with elements of the media and had utilized the media for herself. We cannot say that she was victimized by the media. And I think Harry really wants to believe that the media took the place of the big old mean royal family. But I think he's struggling with it now. I don't think that it is as clear cut as he would like it to be. And I think he has some suspicions from his own experience with media, and dare I say, the lack of experience with media. He's now, and we did see this just recently in the news, very upset about Mark Zuckerberg taking the guardrails off the manipulation of free speech. And they've made a crazy statement about it, how, you know, this is really such a detriment to society. But the truth of the matter is that the media intrusion in Harry's life really has been the opinions of others, people like me, content creators like me, and individuals in the comments. There's a lot being said about their behavior, not because media has told us to, but because we're witnessing the gross missteps and the actions based in ego that are just not looking good. So, that being said, has his opinion of his mother, is this impression accurate? Is he starting to see an accurate impression? Keep in mind that I do think he's starting to see that media was a weapon that his mother utilized as well. Is his impression accurate? He is crafting an opinion based on his information, and it is, you know, on one hand he says he doesn't recall very much about his mother, but then on the other hand he's like living his whole life based on, you know, what he's saying he recalls, hiding in the car, having people chasing them, those kinds of things. So I think he is crafting a story. I think that there is a storyline that he keeps adding to. The Page of Swords is a storyteller. He writes stories. And it's based on information we have, but it's also based on the things that we want, this passion, the end game that we want. He wants her death not to be in vain. He wants someone to be responsible for her death other than just a stupid car accident. So, has Meghan influenced this? Has she influenced his opinion of his mother, what he really thinks about her? Absolutely. 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 I can't think of any three worse cards that we could get for this. The Four of Wands, we are never safe at home. Nine of Swords, the anxiety never goes away. And the Three of Swords, with this Nine of Swords, we keep opening that wound. That wound cannot heal. You are the steward bearer of your mother's demise. How awful. What a terrible situation to be in. So, what is his yellow brick road? How does Harry get out of this? He's been to therapy. He's tried all kinds of substance therapies. He's been to war. He's left his home. He's come to America. He's changed his culture. What is his yellow brick road? How does he reconcile the fantasy of his mother with the reality of what we know about her now? Was Diana, Princess of Wales, a lovely person who cared about people that were in need? Absolutely. But was she a flawed human that was terrible at relationships? I believe so. I believe she was terrible at relationships. So how does Harry reconcile that? Eight of Cups. He needs to go into solitude and he needs to read all of the facts, all of the bad stuff, all of the good stuff. He needs to speak with the people that were with her, the people that maybe she did disrupt. Yeah, Tiggy, the companion, she was more like a governess, I guess, for the boys. She wasn't a nanny, contrary to how she's been depicted. But Tiggy, she actually insinuated that Tiggy had terminated a pregnancy, and that was King Charles or Prince Charles at the time, his child. And she confronted her with that. She also made a big fuss about Tiggy smoking and said, you know, she didn't want the boys and she didn't want Tiggy in the room when she was speaking with the boys on the phone. And, you know, she made things very, very difficult. So he needs to hear those testimonies from those people that maybe lay in the wake of her destruction. You know, the writing instructor, James Hewitt, maybe speak to her about how, or him, about how the relationship had gone with his mother and get more of a perspective of her as a person and a human being, a flawed one, rather than an idolized mother of a 12-year-old boy. So this was a very bittersweet video for me to do. And I do think that making judgments about how someone feels about a departed person, we wouldn't do this reading if Harry wasn't constantly talking about it. We wouldn't do this reading. We wouldn't be curious about this if he wasn't, you know, carrying this torch for his mother and handing it off to his wife now. So I do think that there is some manipulation of information, and I think that there's also a young thinking person's need to preserve the purity of their mother. So this is a very sad reading. I want to know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Harry is at the point where he may be starting to realize that maybe the idolized vision of his mother is not accurate? So I'm real curious what you guys think. So I hope you like this reading. I know this is a little bit more somber than I usually do. I usually laugh and have a good time in them. But this was a question that was asked by one of you, and I wanted to do it justice, and I wanted to approach it with a very serious affect. So let me know what you think. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope if any of you have pain like this, you are healing from it. And I'll see you in the future.